Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of Trident Talks. Delighted to welcome Daniel Nong today, who's the CEO of CyberOwl. Dan, welcome.
Hi Charlie.
Are you well? Busy week?
It has been, yes. It's, as I said to you a second ago, it's been a real busy few months actually through the whole lockdown. So looking forward to being able to travel again so you can get some downtime on trains and planes.
Yeah, I bet. I'm exactly the same. So Dan, for those who don't know yourself and haven't heard of CyberOwl before, would you like to give a quick background of yourself and how you got to become the CEO right now?
Yeah, sure. So very briefly, CyberOwl is a security analytics business, and we particularly focus on monitoring for operational assets. So these are things that tend to move and pump and inject chemicals and heat up and transmit power, rather than pure IT systems that live in offices. And I came to be part of CyberOwl and the project as part of an initiative by another organization called Crossword Cybersecurity. So the Crossword team specialize in something called technology transfer. And so what they do is they've been going around the country looking at various pieces of research in the cybersecurity space that have a kind of really good potential of being turned into either products or businesses. And they found my co-founder's work, a chap called Siraj Sheikh, who's a professor at Coventry University. And to cut a long story short, we felt collectively that Siraj's work had a real potential to be turned into a business and a product. And I know the Crossword guys from work that I did at KPMG. And so we took a leap of faith to come together to spin out the technology into a business. But I spent a large part of my career at KPMG working with the defense, security and industrial part of the business, effectively helping businesses across US, Europe and the Middle East grow their propositions and footprints in a range of different spaces, including within the cybersecurity space. And that's how I started learning about cybersecurity.
Okay, it's quite a good background there. So CyberOwl also part of Lorca, right?
Yes.
The Cybersecurity Accelerator, a program run by the government. So you're one of the founding bodies there. What's that been like?
So, I mean, if I take a step back, Lorca's been a product of the UK government's initiative, I guess, to try to develop a real base of cybersecurity expertise and innovation in the UK. And the thinking behind that whole sort of leg or initiatives of activity relates to the fact that if you can have the best cybersecurity agency in the world, and you can do a lot in terms of helping the local companies protect themselves from cyber attacks, but actually to really complement that strategy, you need to develop and nurture an ecosystem of cybersecurity innovations and early stage businesses that can really help make the environment thrive, and that then feeds the need for local talent, and that then feeds the ability to then protect yourself, and then it becomes a reinforcing sort of virtual cycle, as it were. So Lorca has been one of the government programs to help put that in place and help develop this ecosystem. And so we have always been keen to make sure that we, aside from benefiting from the ecosystem, that we're also positively contributing towards it. And that was one of the key reasons why we joined Lorca. So it's been a good sort of initiative to bring together developing and emerging and exciting businesses and within the cybersecurity space that are looking at sort of difficult areas of cybersecurity that need to be solved over the next few years and the next decade or so. So being part of that ecosystem and feeding into that ecosystem has been a real pleasure, actually.
It's really good to hear. I think it touches on a point around collaboration within security. I think, as you so rightly said, you could have the best product, agency, business, whatever you want to call it. If you don't work together, both as a team and individually of the business and the wider community, and what you really doing. I think you achieve so much more working together. So it's really good to hear. So onto CyberOwl, you predominantly focus right now on the shipping industry, maritime security. I mean, there's loads of information all over your website, some good blogs and articles on there as well. So would you like to give us just a bit of an overview on that?
Yeah. So we felt when we were starting CyberOwl that by and large we were doing some really good work already in the enterprise IT space. Mm-hmm. There was a surge of sort of development and innovation around protecting cloud and cloud assets, and that was there's more that can be done, but we were kind of coming along a long way in that space. But where globally we still lacked innovation, collaboration, coordination, development relates to the operational technology in the Internet of Things space. Mm. And whilst there was a lot of noise and hype around it and a lot of indication that would be the next big threat and risk area, not a lot was being done in terms of being able to address some of the challenges in that space. Mm-hmm. And so one of the key sort of differentiators about what we do and the way we do it is that our technologies are particularly good at handling operational environments. So these environments that have, they're highly distributed, they tend to have connectivity issues, they tend to have bandwidth issues, but more importantly, the technologies that are being used in this space, even though they're connected up to the internet, they're being applied to do physical things. So you can't just, it's not just about data and data confidentiality. It actually results in some kind of physical process. And so if you try to put in a piece of security that stops something from happening, with the view of trying to protect it, the outcome of that is that asset stops working, that production line stops functioning, that ship stops having availability of whatever system it has. And if you're a vessel and you're floating in the middle of the ocean and you do something to prevent a cyber attack from taking place, you must do it in such a way that it doesn't then inadvertently float off and hit a reef or hit another vessel. And so with that comes a bunch of complexities. And we felt we were particularly well placed sort of technically to solve it. But we also felt it was a bit of an unloved market and that needed a lot of attention. So we took CyberOwl into that space and being a startup, we wanted to focus quite hard on a beachhead market so that we can use our resources in the most kind of effective way. And the maritime sector we felt was right for being supportive from a cybersecurity standpoint. And so here we are today. So we, I suspect, are a leading brand in cybersecurity monitoring in the maritime space. We work with customers all across Europe, but also in Singapore, in Asia Pac, and we continue to build out the business. And essentially, CyberOwl and through our technology and services does three things. We provide visibility of the assets and networks that are operating on those vessels across fleets. We provide security monitoring and detection of intrusion, early warning of anomalous and suspicious behaviors on those vessels, but we also support the fleet operator in helping them comply with regulations related to cybersecurity.
Okay, you're right in saying that the maritime industry is probably it was overlooked or / an unloved space, because I think I read on your website that 80% of vessels that you begin to work with, the security manager there isn't aware of 80% of things that are connected to their networks. They weren't sanctioned, and so it's your products. I think it's both Medulla and Incus. They help highlight that right to the vessel. And allows you to kind of get communication across the fleet as well. So this kind of technology, you can use it outside of the maritime industry as well, can't you? And I think that's a direction you're probably looking at taking CyberOwl into also, right?
Yes. So we don't talk a huge amount about it, but we do also do work in critical national infrastructure and the defense space. In critical national infrastructure in particular, we look at power systems, and we've been sort of deploying in that space as well. And again, power systems have a real sort of technological advancement coming in over the next sort of 5 or 10 years. We want to achieve globally kind of environmental targets, and we want to get smarter in the way we use energy. In order to get smarter in the way we use energy, we need to implement smart grids, because we need to make sure that we are very carefully balancing the demand for energy with the supply from energy, and the supply of energy is getting much more distributed and much more creative, so that's no longer just a big coal-fired power plant somewhere, but it's actually a combination of localized solar panels, localized wind farms, then feed into the demand of energy for that local environment. So being able to constantly balance that and manage power is going to be a huge task, if you like, for the world. And so some of the work we do helps to provide visibility and security monitoring for that.
Yeah, and that is the future, right? Critical national infrastructure. So not only are you going to be trying to balance how do you make everything greener, how do you make it smarter, how do you make it work more efficiently, but you're also going to be balancing protecting organizations from kind of nation-state threat actors, right? Because that's, if you lose your national infrastructure, then you're going to be in a bit of trouble. So there's definitely a lot of work to be done there, and I think over the next couple of years we'll see a lot of movement in that space. So Dan, if you weren't the CEO of CyberOwl, what would you be doing?
Golly, that's an interesting question. I think I would be at another business somewhere building. So I think what really gets me going is building something up from scratch. And I think the kicks that I get out of kind of running and building CyberOwl is, despite the trials and tribulations, watching something grow from what was really a concept on paper and kind of building out the team now, where we're in kind of multi-jurisdiction and building out sort of customers and products and a whole system that underpins it. So if I wasn't here building CyberOwl, I'd probably be somewhere else, annoying someone else trying to build something there. So not sure what that is.
Well, it could be anything, right? But I understand we're doing exactly the same thing now. So having that end product and looking back and realizing what you've achieved is, you get a good sense of achievement from it, right? But Dan, thanks so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to find out more about CyberOwl and the direction you're heading in as a business, and really looking forward to seeing what happens over the next couple of years. Thanks so much.
That's great. Thank you.